But instead, the opposite happened. I crashed and I burned. It got to the point to where I needed to spend time in the behavioral unit. And while I was in the behavioral unit, I knew that I needed to make different decisions about my profession and learn what self-care really was. Hello, my name is Martita Robbins, and I'm an emotional freedom tapping technique coach. That means I like to work with educators who are in the classroom day in, day out, feeling the impact of daily stress and anxiety, as well as chronic burnout. I get it. I've been there. I began my teaching career with the 2007-2008 school year, and I really thought it was my dream job. You see, I was teaching at my alma mater. I was a first-year educator at the school where I earned my high school diploma, and it was challenging. And I kept telling myself, hang in there, it'll get better. It's your first year. Of course you don't know it all. Everybody makes mistakes, and I got that. And I chose to go back because I knew I had improved. And professional development also changed and improved. So I did feel more confident. I felt like my expertise or experience was accelerated because of the mentoring I received. But I'll tell you something else. Nobody was teaching me about self-care as a young professional. Daily, I was pouring into others, making sure that my students were getting the best of me, while also being a newly married wife and trying to navigate what's it like to be an adult, really getting to be on my own for the first time. And I just kept telling myself, hang in there, it'll get better. Whenever I would explain to others that I was experiencing challenges with certain things, that's also the advice I got. Nobody was giving me the skills I needed, and quite frankly, I didn't know where to turn. So let's fast forward. It's now the 2010 school year, and I'm very stressed. I didn't take a break that summer because I chose to work an extra job during the summer. Side note, teachers don't always have summers off, but that's another video for a different day. And it led to me realizing that my diagnosis of anxiety and depression that I received when I was 18 was coming out of remission. I ended up taking 6 weeks of extended leave, getting on medication, and seeing a therapist that I really wasn't comfortable with. So after those 6 weeks, I went back in the classroom, but I still didn't feel whole. And other educators were telling me, just hang in there, it'll get better. Or it is what it is. You see a pattern? So now we fast forward, 2012, I go back to school. I'm managing my classroom as an educator. I'm earning a master's while also being married and beginning to fulfill more caregiving duties for my parents as they were experiencing different health challenges. I earned my master's in 2016, transitioned out of the classroom into the library and got to use my degree in the 2017-2018 school year. And there was also a change in administration. And let's just say there was some difficulties adjusting, but if you know, you know. I was thinking that the change from the classroom to the library and the change in my responsibilities would help me feel better. But I didn't. Again, I didn't know how to fill my cup. I was still giving, I was still going, and life was still lifing. Then comes the pandemic. And to be honest, during the pandemic, I learned what self-care was. I learned what it meant to take some time to recharge and do activities that would allow me to do that. And we all know that there was a lot of tragedy and a lot of bad things taking place during that time. So during the pandemic, we all know there was a lot of tragedy, a lot of heartache, a lot of bad things happening at that time. socially, medically, politically. And it took a toll on me like it did everyone else. And because I was starting to implement more self-care practices, just some things that were kind of on the surface, I thought I had a better grip on things. I learned more about setting boundaries, about how to honor the boundaries with myself and how to reinforce them with others. That was quite helpful because throughout those other years, I didn't know that I could do that. I didn't know what my voice was. But some of my responsibilities did increase. And the increased responsibilities tested those boundaries and my patience. And getting to say no and getting to stand in that no wasn't always easy or honored. As time went on, I felt like I was losing my passion for the profession. As time went on, I thought that if I found a way to give even more or do even more or take on more, that I would feel better about what I was doing. But instead, the opposite happened. I crashed and I burned. It got to the point to where I needed to spend time in a behavioral unit. And while I was in the behavioral unit, I knew that I needed to make different decisions about my profession and learn what self-care really was and begin to implement it on a more holistic level. And I left the profession. I was out for 2 years, and during that 2 years, I began seeing a new therapist, one who actually met with me and understood what I was going through and gave me what I needed in order to cope and begin to heal. Also introduced to emotional freedom technique tapping by a friend who was a coach, and she was a confidence coach. And after learning more about it and how it helped me and helped others, I decided that this is what I needed to implement, but I also needed to share it because I'm a teacher, and you know how it is. Once we find a resource that works, we want to tell everybody. And that's what I enjoy doing. I did choose to re-enter the profession in 2024, and so far it's been an amazing 8 months. I found a place where I truly feel I can thrive. It honors the work-life integration that I have, and it allows me to take care of myself. They really do believe in taking your PTO and giving me time to volunteer for causes that I love to support. So I call that a win-win. I know everybody doesn't have that situation. So the question becomes, how do we manage where we are and get to where we want to be? How do we manage our traumatic previous experiences with our day-to-day stress and anxiety, with the signs of burnout, with lifing? Emotional freedom technique tapping helps me to heal holistically, manage the emotion in real time, lower the intensity, and heal previous traumatic experiences. And so that's why I chose to teach this to others.